So iLogic, I'm going to bounce back and forth here between Inventor and the PowerPoint here as we touch on different topics. So what does iLogic look like? Yeah, it can be used, pardon me, it can be used by beginners and experts alike. And rules are developed by using the iLogic rule editor inside of Inventor. And there's two different types of rules that we're going to be focusing on. Internal rules and external rules. So let's take a look at some of those things, okay? So I'm just going to open up a model here that I had opened up previously. So we can start looking at what iLogic is and then what we can do with it once we have it opened up. So here I have a model. I'm using Inventor 2018 in this example. If you're using 2019 or the newly released 2020, it's going to look fairly similar in terms of you have a model browser here on the left-hand side, and then you have an iLogic browser. And if you don't have your iLogic browser open, you can simply select the plus button there and then select iLogic, and then your browser will open up. So once your browser opens up, you're going to see, let me actually pull this over here so we can see it, center screen. So we have our internal rules, which are on our rules tab here. And then over here, we have our external rules. Now, what's the difference? Internal rules, any rules that you create here, if I right click and say I want to add a rule or run a rule, or if I have any rules existing, they'll be expressed there, and I can just simply double click on that. And my rule editor is going to open up. And it's going to show me any code that might be existing. Or if I need to write code, I can do it in the context of the rule editor here. But focusing on rules, internal rules are rules that we create and we save inside of the file. So they live inside of the file. If I open up a file, those rules are going to be exposed. Otherwise, that's the only place in which they live. And this is a good thing because it runs fast because they're local on your machine in terms of the rules. However, there's no real level of security involved. So you're leaving this code available to any user that has the ability to open up that file. And depending on the complexity of the code or the importance of the code, you may not want your end users to interact with it or have that availability to be able to get their fingers in there and start messing with the logic, if you will. So internal rules live inside of the files. External rules are saved out onto the network. They're located somewhere else outside of the file. They could be local machine, they could be out on the network, they could be on some other drive at some other location. The importance here is that because internal rules are stored inside of the file and they can be transported with the file, external rules live out somewhere else where multiple users can connect to a central location of where these rules exist. So it allows you as an administrator to be able to distribute rules out to numerous individuals so they can use at their disposal. And because these rules could potentially be stored out on the network where you have network security, even though the rules are exposed to the end user, if they go and mess with this and save it, they may not have the opportunity to do if they don't have permission to that folder. So they may be able to see the code, but they can't necessarily affect the code. So there's a security benefit there, if you will. So internal rules and external rules, that's the gist of what those are. And I think that's important to understand simply because some individuals don't really understand the difference of the power of internal versus external rules.